You know, from time to time, Eddie does work with poets, something we can certainly appreciate here on Arts Upload.
We have featured a number of them, performing their works for producer-videographer Justin Bond.
This week, he turns the spotlight on Monique Gabrielle Salazar.
Her poem's called Ophelia Obscura.
I wish that I was as shallow as the distance between a blade and the ice, a swift shimmer of glistening crystals. But I am the dark water of the pond that refuses to freeze. The only way to get at me is with a boulder. There are plenty of nooks and crannies for my cavities to grow, to fester. Fish gills spread like rose petals plucked from above, but underneath these depths there is no forgiveness. If a flame peters, it dies, and so therefore at the bottom of my lair I have bitten through fossil and bone, bitten through fossil and bone. I nurse hot magma into jet streams because my hands were not forged of this earth to shy from fire, but to tease it. I am building an army struck with my own hammer. They exist by my sheer will. I will don my armor of syllables. I will let down my hair and float down just beneath the ice to stare back at those who would dare approach me.